So for a lot of these equations, we need to make two angle measures equal to each other, and they don't give you the angle measure. They say one angle might equal 4x plus 2 and the other angle measure might be 6x minus 8. Well, if they're vertical angles, so let's say we had two parallel lines and we're looking at this angle measure and this angle measure. If they're across from each other like that, they equal each other. Lots of other situations where angles could be equal to each other, the measures could be equal. So we can make those two equations. If this was 4x plus 2 and this was 6x minus 8, because these two angles will be equivalent, then we can make these two expressions equivalent to each other. The very first thing we have to think about is, what is our goal in this? Our goal is to get x all by itself, to isolate that variable, fancy term for solving for x, finding out what x equals. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing we want to do is get x's on one side of the equal sign. Notice we have x's over here and x's over there. So you have to think about inverse operations or opposite operations. Right here I have a plus 4x. You don't see the plus because you don't have to write it if it's not there. You don't need it if it's a plus. So what's the opposite of plus 4x's? Taking away 4x's. Remember, to keep an equal sign or an equation balanced, you need to do the same thing on both sides of that equal sign. So I'm going to take away 4x from here and take away 4x's from here. 6x's take away 4x's leaves me with only 2x's left. 2x's left. So now I have the x's on the right hand side. These are gone. I've done that math right there. The other thing I have to do now is get my numbers on to this side. If I have my x's on this side, I need to get all of my lonely little numbers that don't have variables next to them on this side of the equal sign. So I have to undo this, think about inverse or opposite operation. What is the opposite of negative 8? I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Remember, you have to keep the equation balanced. So these would cancel out. A negative 8 and a plus 8 are 0. They're gone. But now over here I have plus 2 and plus 8, which is 10. And then the last step in these equations is to undo this. So what does this mean? If I have a number next to a variable, it means to, you got it, multiply 2 times x. Well, what is the opposite or inverse operation of multiplication? Division. So we are going to divide both sides by that number that is in front of that x. Remember, keep your equation balanced. That is a yucky 2. Alrighty, so these are now a 1. 2 divided by 2, remember that? 1. 1x, which is the same as x. We know what 1x is going to equal. It equals whatever 10 divided by 2 is. Now be careful. In these equations, they're going to have you solve for x, but then substitute in for x what x equals to find one of the measures. So if this was angle A and this was angle B, and they said find the measure of angle B, and angle B equaled 6x minus 8, I will know what B is when I substitute 5 in what x is for x. So 6 times 5 minus 8. Don't stop once you find x. You'll get the answer incorrect. 30 take away 8 is what? 22. So the measure of angle B is 22. Now we know that the measure of angle A is also 22, and a whole bunch of other angles we can figure out will be 22. If this is confusing to you, pause it and then continue. Do it step by step, just like I have it here. Pause it, do it step by step.